Please subscribe and you can download this code from description below. Title: Handling int object has no attribute append error in Python. Introduction. When working with Python, you might encounter the error message int object has no attribute append. This error occurs when you try to use the append method on an integer object. The append method is typically associated with lists, not with integers. This tutorial will explain why this error occurs and how to resolve it with code examples. Understanding the error. The append method is a list method in Python that is used to add elements to the end of a list. However, if you mistakenly attempt to use append on an integer, you will encounter the int object has no attribute append error. This error is a clear indication that you are trying to perform a list operation on a non-list object. Example scenario. Let's consider a common scenario where this error might occur. In this example, we have an integer number with a value of 42. When we try to use the append method on it, Python raises an attribute error because integers do not have an append attribute. Solution. To resolve this error, ensure that you are applying the append method to a list, not an integer. If you want to create a list with a single integer element, enclose the integer in square brackets, to create a list with that element. Corrected example. In this corrected example, we define a list numbers with the integer 42 as its only element. Now, we can use the append method on the list without encountering the error. Conclusion. The int object has no attribute append error in Python is a straightforward issue that occurs when trying to use the append method on an integer instead of a list. Always make sure you are applying list methods to lists and handle your data types appropriately to avoid such errors in your Python programs. ChatGPT. Title: Understanding and resolving the int object has no attribute append error in Python. Introduction. When working with Python, you may encounter the error message int object has no attribute append at some point. This error occurs when you try to use the append method on an integer object, which is not allowed since integers do not have an append attribute. This tutorial will help you understand why this error occurs and provide solutions to resolve it. Common causes. The error typically occurs when you mistakenly treat an integer variable as a list and attempt to use the append method on it. The append method is a list method, and it cannot be applied to integers or other non-list types. Example. Let's consider a simple example that triggers the int object has no attribute append error. In this example, my underscore integer is assigned the value 5, which is an integer. However, the subsequent attempt to use the append method on my underscore integer will result in an error. Solution. To resolve this issue, you need to ensure that you are working with a list before using the append method. If you want to create a list with a single element, you can do so by enclosing the element in square brackets. In this corrected code, my underscore list is explicitly defined as a list containing the integer 5. Now, you can safely use the append method to add the value 10 to the list. Additional tips. Conclusion. Understanding the int object has no attribute append error is crucial for writing error-free Python code. By recognizing when this error occurs and ensuring that you are working with the correct data types, you can prevent such issues and write more robust and reliable code. ChatGPT. Title: Understanding and resolving the int object has no attribute append error in Python. Introduction. When working with lists in Python, you might encounter the error int object has no attribute append. This error occurs when you attempt to use the append method on an integer object, but the append method is only applicable to list objects. This tutorial will help you understand why this error occurs and how to resolve it. Error scenario. Let's consider a common scenario where this error might occur. Suppose you have a list and you want to append an element to it. However, instead of initializing an empty list, you mistakenly initialize it with an integer. Upon running this code, you will encounter the following error. Explanation. The error message is indicating that you are trying to use the append method on an integer, int object. The append method is a list method, and it cannot be applied directly to an integer. Solution. To resolve this issue, you need to ensure that my_list is initialized as a list before using the append method. Here is the corrected code. In this corrected code, my_list is initialized as a list containing a single integer. The append method can now be used without any issues. Conclusion. Understanding and fixing the int object has no attribute append error involves ensuring that you are working with a list object rather than an integer. Always double-check your variable types and make sure that you are using list methods on list objects. By following these steps, you can avoid this common error and successfully append elements to your lists in Python. ChatGPT